What's up, y'all? It's project time. In this video, we're going to be working on installing some solar panels for my pop-up camper. I felt it was kind of important to make this video because I didn't really find a whole lot out there. I did get a little bit of research done and find some other YouTubers that have kind of had similar situations, kind of taking from some of the stuff that I've seen other people do to sort of create a game plan for what I'm working on. So, like I said, we're going to be installing solar panels, a charge controller, and a DC charger on my truck. I'll kind of explain why we're going to be doing all of that throughout the video. But the first thing we need to work on is fabricating the brackets to actually mount the solar panels to the roof. Because my camper is a 1984, four-wheel camper, Hawk Edition, it didn't come with any sort of, roof rails to mount anything on top of the roof of the camper. So I'm having to fabricate something that will mount those solar panels, and I wanted to do so in a way where I didn't have to drill any holes in the roof, because, that's how you get leaks, and anything I can do to minimize the potential for leaks, the better. So let me get outside to the truck, kind of show you a little bit about what we're going to be fabricating, kind of what my game plan is, and then we'll get started. But there's no way to mount solar panels to it because there's no roof racks. So what I'm going to do, let me show you up there. As you can see, there are no roof rails anywhere on this roof. And I want to mount the solar panels, but I don't want to drill any holes in there. I don't want to have to worry about creating any more leaks. My plan is to fabricate some brackets. I'm going to have two poles that run the width, two square tubes that run the width of the roof, and I'm going to mount the solar panels to those. But my plan is to fabricate some brackets that attach to the sides where I can silicone them, and because they're on the sides, water won't be sitting up there. It'll drain off due to gravity. I'm hoping that with silicone, it'll keep it from leaking along the sides, so I can just bolt those brackets to the sides here. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to fabricate the brackets, basically mount the solar panels, and then we'll get into the wiring later on in the video. This is my solar panel kit. This is what we're going to be installing here. So I already cut the tape off, but I got these from HQST, bought them online from their website. It is two 100-watt solar panels with a PMNW, I think it's PMNW. Anyways, it's kind of the older style solar charge controller. This is a fairly budget-friendly kit. It's the reason I went with it. It does come with the cables. It's got some mounting brackets. I hope they made it through shipping without cracking. All right. I don't see any cracks anywhere. That's good. Looks all right. So anyways, these are the frames, obviously, and this is where we're going to be bolting them down, attaching them to the cross tubes, the square tubing that I'm going to build on the cross to go across the camper. Obviously, this is the wiring. This is the other thing we're going to be installing. This is a Renogy 20 amp DC-DC charger. This will be so that I can charge the camper batteries off the alternator properly. Like I said, here's my plan of attack. So this is the roof of my camper, right? This is the part that pops up. What I want to do is, obviously, I'm going to make the square tubing that goes across here to mount the panels to. But what I want to do is I want to kind of keep, I could just take a flat piece of, flat stock, cut it to length, weld this tube to the end, and be done with it. But I want it to sit in a little bit. You know what I mean? I want it to not stick out as much. One, to kind of help prevent it from snagging on tree branches and things like that as I'm crawling through, forested or heavy wooded areas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little bracket. I'm actually going to make 4 of them, obviously, but make 4 little brackets that do that. Going to be fairly simple. Basically, just the bracket will come up. I got to go measure the depth of that roof panel, and then it'll dive in, figure 45 angle or so, and then it'll go up probably an inch and a half because my tubing is 1-inch tubing. I'll do that on each side like that. I'll show you how I'm going to do that, and then of course, like I said, just weld a piece of tube between them, the proper length, and then right here we're just going to throw a couple of long self tappers in here into the side silicone all of this real good, and we should be good to go. So that's the plan of attack. I guess it's time to get started. This will be my first bracket. I'm going to make 4 of these, but the bottom part that goes onto the roof is 1.5 inches, or sorry, 1.25 inches. I'm going to make it angle in at 45 and make that piece 2 inches, and then this top piece I'm going to do it at 1.5 inches because my tubing is 1 inch, so it'll give me enough room to weld. And then I'm probably going to actually angle these off a little bit, kind of round them off a little bit. But let's cut this first one out. I'll cut out all 4 of them, and then I can start figuring out how I'm gonna angle the edges. See this, but this is my idea. So this will be the part that bolts into the side of the roof. This will be the angled portion that kind of goes up over the roof a little bit, and then of course this will be the part where the cross tube is welded in for mounting the actual solar panels to. So this, I think, is going to be my basic design. So I'm going to start cutting these out, and then I can start what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw a little bit of a notch in here, just kind of grind a little line on the proper sides so I can bend these a little bit easier, and then I'll just go back and re-weld them. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Always wear your hearing protection. I'll be the first to admit I'm not the safest fabricator because, I weld and cut metal in flip-flops. I'm not smart, but that's okay. But don't mess with your hearing. Always wear your hearing protection. These cutoff discs are super noisy, alright? Just a little pro tip for you: if you've got to do a lot of grinding, like I've got to do with those 4 pieces, if you don't have something like that table grinder over there, or bench grinder, you can always use a 4.5 inch cutoff angle grinder, and you can attach it to your, just clamp it down in your vise, and it'll make all of this process a whole lot easier. So just a little pro tip. Well, I got my 4 pieces cut, 2 for one side, 2 for the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to, throw in the cutoff disc, just kind of throw a little notch in here, just grind a little bit through to make it easier to get a straight bend. I got to do one on one side, one on this side, and then do that 4 times. So I'll show you the first one, and then I'll go ahead and knock out the other 3. These 2 brackets are going to go on. I'm going to make these the passenger side. So what I need to do is I need to grind just a little bit of a line, just a little indentation into this side on this line, and then I'm going to do one on this side because this bracket is going to bend in and then up. So I'm just going to grind those so it'll make it easier to actually bend them. That. Well, you'll be able to see it. I didn't cut all the way through it. I just threw a little groove in there just to make it that much easier to bend. Now I got to do this line, but I got to do it on this side. The other. Now let's do this 3 more times. Measure twice, cut once. See if y'all can see where I made a mistake. That's right. this one should have been cut like that. So now I got to make another one of these because I screwed up. So I'm not going to make y'all suffer through my mistake. Just hopefully you can learn from it. I'll be right back with a correct one of these. Now that we're back to our regularly scheduled program, as you can see, I've got all 4 done. I've got each one of them grooved on the respective sides, and you can also, hopefully you can tell that on each one of these grooves I grinded off the mill scale, because once I get them bent to the proper angle, then I'm going to weld those back in, just for, you know, rigidity's sake. Obviously, you know, weld will be stronger than the metal anyway. So cleaned off all the mill scale so I can get those welded in. So let's get to bending, shall we? Okay, let's see if we can get this bent now. All right, we'll take that. See if we can bend that by hand. Well, it ain't perfect, but I think it'll get the job done. Let's throw a little. See if we can't straighten this out just a little bit. That looks a little better. Alright, I think that'll work. Let's do 3 more times, shall we? Bad for eyeballing it. Let's make 2 more. We'll make y'all watch. We are going to weld where I notched them and bent them. We're going to weld all that just to reinforce them. I mean, probably don't need to, but just for my own peace of mind, we're going to run a bead of weld on both cuts on all 4 pieces. So get that done real quick. As you can see, I got my welds there, got my welds there. Those 4 pieces are done. Now we get to go do the fun part of measuring the cross pieces for this right here. These will be my cross tubes. We got to go measure the width and figure out exactly how much we need. As one of my favorite sayings goes, no good plan survives contact with the enemy. So we've got obviously our brackets for attaching to the side of the camper, and originally we were going to use square tubing, and I was going to basically fab it up like a roof rack, and instead what I've decided to do is we're going to use angle iron. And the reason we're going to use angle iron is because it'll help me be able to set the solar panels down lower. So with the square tubing, obviously let's pretend this was square tubing, the solar panels were going to sit on top of the square tubing, which would have made them another inch taller. Whereas with the angle iron, we can actually just build a front and rear tray for them to sit in, and that'll let them sit a little bit lower, so they'll be a little more low profile, and therefore less drag and all that stuff. So instead of building a roof rack to attach the solar panels to, I'm just building a solar panel rack. So we've got the angle iron over here. The tricky part is going to be doing all this without drilling any unnecessary holes. So let me go show you what my plan is. Obviously, this is the roof of the camper. This is where we're going to be attaching mounting the solar panels, and I want to try and get them as far back as possible so that, when I'm lifting up from this area on the roof, I'm not fighting the leverage of them being out past me. So I'm going to mount them in the center, and I think we're going to mount the first one right here. So my game plan is I'm going to attach this one on this side, and then go put the other one on the other side, and then get my exact measurement for my angle iron to go between them, cut it, bring it out here, tack it into place, and then I can bring the solar panels out, and I can put the solar panels on one end. I'll take one of these angles, and I'll go ahead and weld the angle iron to one side and get it in position, screw it in here, and then I can get my exact measurement to cut it and attach it on the other side. That way I'm not accidentally drilling too many holes in the roof of the camper. So that's my game plan. I think I can use that same hole. Come on. Lost it. Alright. That's good and sturdy. I think once we silicone that, I think that'll work. Let's go do the other side. I'll see y'all over there. Oh, I got my measurement, or my brackets in place, so now let's run this over to the other side. Yeah, that is 78. That is 78 and 5/8, and I'm hooked on the outside, which is 1/8 of an inch. So 78 and a half, I think, is what we're going to cut. So let's go make a 78 and a half inch piece of angle iron. I'll see y'all back in the shop. Forgot my tools. Now I'll see y'all back in the shop. Alright, now the fun part. I got to take this angle iron that I just cut made to 78 and a half, get it out there in the truck, make sure I can get the welder close enough to where I can actually get that thing tacked into position. And then we can start putting some solar panels in there so we can figure out exactly where the width of the other one, the positioning on the other piece of angle iron. So I guess we're gonna go do that now. Oh, hey, how'd y'all get out here so quick? Yeah, I know I'm a dork. Alright, so I think, let's see what we got here. So we're gonna put, oh, the sun's already getting this stuff hot. Yep, I thought this might be a little, come on, let go, let go. Magnets. Okay, so, hopefully that'll work. That looks fairly perpendicular. Alright. I might want to, actually, you know what? There's a little bit of a gap here. So I think what I'm going to do is go grab those pliers and see if I can't tweak that back into position. So I'm going to tweak this, and then I'm going to go over there and I'm going to tack the other side. Then I can come back over here and tack this side, and then we can go inside and do some more work. We'll keep working. Huh. Sorry if I kept y'all waiting too long. Probably just a little too fast for me. I had to stop and get the welder and stuff. So, alright, so this side looks pretty good. Is that side still okay? I'm gonna get the welder up here and let's get these things tacked into place. Okay. I don't really need these gloves. I'm just tacking, but since I have them, might as well use them. May not be protecting my feet because of flip-flops, but at least I'll protect my hand because of gloves. I know I said I was just going to tack them, but I mean, you know, tack, weld, it's all the same, right? I'm going to go do the other side now. Hey, how'd y'all get over here so fast? Okay, I'll stop, I promise. Last time I make that bad joke. Most likely. Alright, let's get this side welded on. We'll get this side welded on and then we can start worrying about the front. Okay, so we got the solar panels in place. We got this bar, got this bracket attached. We're gonna weld this end and then I'm gonna go over there, mount the other bracket.
Good morning, y'all. Alright, so as you can see here, I have my my wiring. So I did a little bit of research last night, and basically what I've decided is I'm going to drill a hole in my roof. Now, I couldn't find one locally, but I did order what's called a solar energy gland, which is basically just a protective box that you can feed the wires through that's a waterproof connection, or a waterproof hole for the wires to get through, and then you just seal it to the roof. So that's what everybody in one of my camping groups recommended. That's what pretty much everybody who does this apparently uses. So I ordered one from Amazon. It'll be here later today. Well, it'll be at the house later today. So for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the holes in the roof. I'm going to drill them from the underside so I know where I want them to come out. Figure out exactly where I want them for sure. But I'll drill the holes, run the wires in. That way I can do all the wiring on the DC charger, the solar panels, the solar charge controller, all that stuff. Get the wiring done, and then whenever whenever we get home and that gland shows up, I can just pull the wires back through, run the wires through them, seal it, do all that, run the wires back down, and we should be good to go. So today, that's what we're working on. We're going to get the wiring on the inside done, and hopefully knock this out before too much longer. Sorry, y'all, but I kind of forgot about you, actually. I started tearing everything apart
So this is the space I'm working with. All right, as you can see, there's the roof, and I think I'm gonna bring the wires, you know, right from up there, basically drill the hole right there, bring those wires down, feed them right through this corner where I've got this, you know, USB, or not USB, but cigarette lighter, 12-volt cigarette lighter plugged in. It's for charging phones and iPads and stuff at night. So I think I'm gonna run them right down through that corner and then bring them out right here, feed them down into this area. So this is my fuse box. I used an old fuse box that I got out of a junkyard from a Ford pickup. I don't even remember what it was now, but got this old fuse box so that it's got, let's see if we can get this open one-handed. No, it can't we? God dang, that thing is on there tight. Oh, it's because I'm pulling the wrong side. There we go. So obviously, whoa, don't have a lot in there now, but you know, if the electrical system on this thing gets more involved, I got places for relays, big fuses, normal fuses, that sort of stuff. So right now this is the fuse box for all of my electrical system here in the camper van. I've got my wiring for my 2 batteries. As you can see, I've got 1 battery there, 1 battery there. So those are my 2 12-volt batteries. So what I've got to do is I have to figure out how to, I got to wire the DC charger in, the DC-DC charger. I think I'm going to mount that right over here on this side. Got to wire that in, and then I have to wire in the charge controller, and I think I'm just going to go nice and simple. Actually, I don't know if I can mount it there, because if I fold this out into a bed, I may have to mount a little lower, so I may end up mounting the charge controller down there. I never did finish this wiring up. I was gonna probably do some PVC pipe in half to make a conduit to sort of hide this, but I never did because we started using it before we, you know, started using it more. Anyways, so I gotta mount the charge controller somewhere. Gonna mount the DC-DC charger, like I said, down here. And then got to make some wiring to wire everything in. Should be fairly straightforward. Basically, you wire the DC charger directly to the batteries. You wire the solar panels to the charge controller, and the charge controller directly to the battery. So should be fairly simple. I already have the wiring running in from the truck for the alternator. That's those two, the positive and negative. So I'm literally just going to kind of cut those out, you know, basically sort of splice into those and run those into the DC charge controller, or DC-DC charger, and should be pretty straightforward. So gotta organize this a little bit better, straighten this up a little bit, but shouldn't take me too long. So we'll get this knocked out pretty quick. You definitely don't want to be like me. I'm an idiot. If you're gonna drill holes in your pop-up roof, lift the pop-up, make sure it's up. Let me show you why you don't want to do what I did. There are the holes that I drilled for the wires to come through. That's no big deal. I mean, I can figure out some way to sort of clean that up so it looks a little better. But that is what happened to my side whenever I stuck the drill bit through, because I'm an idiot, because I didn't think it all the way through and I got gung-ho with myself. So another lesson to learn from my mistake. I think that's obviously what caused the drill bit on the top side to go wonky and destroy the roof more. Now I got to figure out how I'm going to patch that up. Yay. Well, I got all of the wiring under the seat done. All I got to do now is mount the solar charge controller and wire that in. But I got my, let's see here, I got my fuse box back in. I've got my batteries hooked up, you know, the way they need to be. I got my DC-DC charger hooked up, so I got input coming in, and then I split it out across the battery, so the positives on one battery, negatives on the other battery. Of course, I got it hooked up positive, positive, negative, negative, so I've got more capacity. I've got my charge controller doing the opposite, so basically the same thing. So I've got charge controller coming in positive on one battery, and then, oh wait, I need to move this one. I need to move the positive to there, so I'm going to do positive on one battery, negative on one battery, so that it's charging both equally and on the same rate. So all we got to do now is figure out where we're going to mount the charge controller, wire that in, and then we'll basically be done. I still got to, of course, do the gland on the roof to seal that up and patch my mistake, but you know, as far as the wiring stuff goes, we'll be done. Okay, well, I've got everything wired up. It looks like everything's working. The only thing I don't understand is it says my battery's at 14.1, 100%. It says the panels are putting out 4.2 amps right now, but it says my load is 0.0, which is unusual because I don't know if you can see those lights reflecting in there, but my fridge is running. So I don't understand. I turned on all the lights, I turned on the water pump, and it still showed a load of 0.0, so I don't know. Battery seems to be at, like I said, 14.2, 100%. Solar panels are only putting out 4.4, but I think that's because the batteries are completely charged. So, I mean, I don't know. I guess we're working. Quick change of scenery. We are back at my house, and my Renogy solar energy gland, whatever, you know, the waterproof box came in. It's got some pretty neat little connectors here. Basically, when you tighten this down, it makes that hole inside there smaller so it fits around the wires. So we're gonna pull these wires out. I suspect this is designed so that this is facing to the front so that water and rain and stuff doesn't blow into it. But because of where my stuff is mounted and because of where I need the wires to go through, I'm actually going to have to face it this way. So I think I'm going to mount it and then, you know, get it all sealed down properly, and then maybe just put some silicone around these and just kind of silicone it up real good, just so it doesn't have any issues. So I've got the gland or the box or whatever you call this thing secured down with the butyl tape. Now I'm just gonna throw some silicone all the way around the edge just to sort of give me an extra layer of protection. And then once the silicone dries, I'm actually going to throw some waterproofing tape around it as well. So I'm just trying to be a little overkill. The last thing I want is a leak. Whenever it's dry, I'll come back out here and I'll throw that waterproof tape, just throw some of that around there just to secure it, and like I said, just add another layer. But I'm gonna let all this stuff dry first. So I'm gonna take care of that. That pretty much wraps this up. I do still have to go back inside and you know, run these, kind of clean these up a little bit on the inside edge in the corner, and then of course wire them back into the charge controller. but y'all have already seen that. So the reality is I think this project is pretty much done, at least as far as the video is concerned. I've got a couple of things I'm going to button up, but yeah, I mean, as you can see, yep, I have solar panels on the roof of my camper now. So if you've got an old camper, an old pop-up, and you're hesitant to put solar panels on it, this is a way to do it without having to drill a bunch of holes. Basically just make some of these little brackets and screw them into the side, and you can silicone them pretty good. I do think you're probably gonna have to drill holes for your wires coming in from your solar panels, but that's kind of what this box is made for. So I think, with proper, sealant and stuff, it should be leak free. I've got a bunch of, people on some of the camping groups that I'm on that have said that it works perfect for them. So I think we're gonna be in good shape. I think this is gonna work. So thanks for watching. Thanks, for hanging out. Hopefully this may have given you a motivation, inspiration to do your own. And if it does, let me know in the comments. Bye.